So what are the Democrats going to do? Of course, they're going to blame one another. The Senate Democrats say it was Obama. It was definitely Obama. And Obama's going to turn around and say, no, it was definitely the Senate Democrats. So here we go. First, we go to Senate Democratic aid. He says it was President Obama dragging candidates down across the country. It was a tough map to start with, and his numbers were especially bad in these states, making it that much harder to overcome. Yeah, take some personal responsibility, man. You guys ran awful, hideous campaigns. Now you turn around and blame President Obama. Does he share some of that blame? Of course he does. The reality is, as you're going to see throughout, is that there's plenty of blame to go around. But it's just so sad afterwards. It wasn't me. It was me. Oh, it's Obama. Well, then why didn't you use him effectively? Why did you run away from his policies when, in fact, it turns out Obamacare was popular? Why did you realize that 2 weeks before the election? If you're such a brilliant strategist, why didn't you realize that 2 months before the election, 6 months before the election? Oh, there was a problem with the website. You're an idiot. You thought like there's just a glitch in the website was going to cost you during election day? The question was, do people have insurance or not? And if they do, when they didn't have it before, they'll like you. They're not going to remember a glitch from the website from 6 months ago. They're all pathetic, all these Democratic consultants and strategists and aides. So here's another one. They had a positive story that they could have told on the economy, referring to the Obama administration. It's not perfect, but you have positive jobs growth, GDP growth, and that message was completely overwhelmed by a series of management missteps that began almost immediately after he walked in for the second term. But, okay, you're right about that. President Obama did not do a good job of communicating his success. Unemployment numbers are now below 6%. Mitt Romney said he couldn't do that for a whole 4 years. Obama did it in 2 years. The deficit has been halved. All these things are true. Then why didn't you run on it? Why didn't you go out there and say, look at how good the economy is doing in terms of these numbers? So when the Republicans tell you it's not doing well, it's not true. Okay, why didn't you say, hey, here's our record of accomplishment as the Democratic Party, and I'm going to run it. You ran away from that. You're a miserable failure. So spare me the finger pointing at this point. Now, we go to President Obama's advisors. They're going to do the same thing. Now, I like this first quote. It's totally true. He said, we gave Dems no reason to run. We ran as Dems light. That's true. That's true. They should have ran as real progressives. But of course, the problem with Democrats is oftentimes they're not real progressives. So that's why they couldn't do it. Many other reasons, including having to please their donors. So now more from Huffington Post here. White House hopes to find some middle ground, oh boy, with congressional Republicans on matters like corporate tax reform, oh no, to help pay for infrastructure repairs, funding for the Ebola epidemic, and cybersecurity preparedness. So if you thought you were going to give credit to the Obama administration, hold on. So their idea is not, hey, we were Dems light, that was wrong. Right after the election, we're going to be Dems heavy. We're going to be progressives. No. What are they going to do? They're going to lower. The message they got was lower corporate taxes. Lower corporate taxes. And the cyber preparedness, that means we're going to just spy in on you more. Both sides are massively guilty. More from Obama aides talking to the New York Times. Quote, he does not feel repudiated, okay? They says, look, basically they described it this way, and you're on the bench, it's the Final Four, and you're on the bench with a walking boot, and you don't get to play. Saying they should have put us in the ball game, and those candidates chose not to use us. That part is true, okay? He said, they said, okay, now, it doesn't matter that we lost here. In the next 2 years, quote, he's going to be aggressive. He's ready to go. Again, you get excited for a second until you find out what they're going to get ready to go on. They explain, we've got a lot of important stuff to get done in the last 2 years. He's anxious to get going on that. Again, I'm excited. That sounds pretty good, right? Watch this. He had long given up hope that he would be able to push through some of his favorite priorities before leaving office. That was the exact problem. You came in, you had 4 years, and you immediately gave up hope. Oh my God, my priorities, they're gone. I guess what are we going to do instead? Can you not see that your loser attitude, both at the White House and with Senate Democrats, is your number one problem? And the fact that you come out afterwards, it wasn't me, I would have conceded earlier, I would have worked with the Republicans more. That's your problem! Okay. So what are you going to do? Well, he told aides, apparently. New York Times reports he told a former aide several weeks ago, Obama did, that he knew he would never be able to expand pre-kindergarten as he had once hoped and regretted it. But he hopes for possible deals on corporate taxes, trade, and infrastructure. Oh, my God. His big hope and dream was pre-kindergarten. Wow. Overwhelming. But he already gave up on that. Like, oh, we can't get that. A little extra education for 4-year-olds. Too much to ask for, right? So what's he going to do instead? Corporate tax cuts. Before the election, right before the election, Vice President Biden was asked, hey, what are you guys going to do if you lose the Senate? Look at his answer.
Would the White House have to change the way that it does business?
No, I don't think we have to change the way we've done it. I think we have to be more direct and clear about exactly what it is we're looking to do. And look, we're ready to compromise.
They're ready to compromise. They've always been ready to compromise. Let's go to President Obama today.
Obviously, Republicans had a good night, and they deserve credit for running good campaigns. Beyond that, I'll leave it to all of you and the professional pundits to pick through yesterday's results. What stands out to me, though, is that the American people sent a message, one that they've sent for several elections now. They expect the people they elect to work as hard as they do. They expect us to focus on their ambitions and not ours. They want us to get the job done. All of us in both parties have a responsibility to address that sentiment. Still, as president, I have a unique responsibility to try and make this town work. So to everyone who voted, I want you to know that I hear you. To the 2/3 of voters who chose not to participate in the process yesterday, I hear you too.
Oh, I hear you. If you want me to work more with Republicans. That was not the goddamnest. Of course, mainstream media loves it. Gentleman Carl from ABC jumped up at that press conference and asked them, do you regret not having reached out to the GOP more? Here's what I regret he didn't reach out with, right here, the back of his hand, right? So now you think, oh, well, Cenk, you're a progressive, so you're going to lean in that direction, and that's why you say, but, you know, it wouldn't have worked. The red states, and they were so conservative, and it was a bad year. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so then answer me, riddle me this, two different things. One, how come we won on almost all the ballot measures? Every progressive idea won. Legalizing marijuana in most of the country won easily. Personhood amendment was crushed in almost all the states. Minimum wage was raised in 4 of the reddest states in America. Why didn't you run on that? Okay, you know what? Drop it. So, you're not convinced yet? Look at this. Now, Huffington Post is reporting on polls, right? Here's what they said. A potent majority was unhappy with the U.S. economic system itself, with nearly 2/3 of voters saying it's unfair and favors the wealthy, and only 32% saying it's fair to most people. Wait a minute. So, it turns out 2/3 of voters, not just Democrats, but a lot of Republicans, a ton of independents, said that they were really, really concerned about income inequality and how the system had crushed the little guy. You Democrats couldn't run on that? You couldn't figure out a way to run on that. That's supposed to be the whole point of the Democratic Party. You guys are miserable, pathetic. You got routed by Republicans when 2/3 of the country was screaming about your core issue. The Republicans represent the top, the wealthy, the rich, the powerful. You're supposed to represent the middle class and the poor. Let me read it to you again in case you didn't get it. A potent majority was unhappy with the U.S. economic system itself, with nearly 2/3 of voters saying it's unfair and favors the wealthy. If you're the Democratic Party and you can't win when 2/3 of the American people believe in what should be your core message, you suck. You suck at this. All right, here, let's go to minimum wage. 4 states, Arkansas, Nebraska, Alaska, South Dakota, all increased minimum wage. Republicans hate increasing the minimum wage. They're dead set against it. The Democrats are for it. Well, it's probably tiny. They probably just squeaked by, right? Those referendums in those states. South Dakota, 55-45, a 10-point advantage. Arkansas, 65-35. And Mark Pryor, that loser who ran as a Republican-light candidate in Arkansas because Arkansas is so conservative, got his ass kicked All he had to do was run just on the minimum wage. So he did the Bible ads and he's smearing mud on himself, pretending to be a farmer. That moron, all he had to say was, I'm going to increase your minimum wage. This son of a bitch Republican doesn't want you to get paid, doesn't want you to put food on the table. 65-35. He would have had a 30-point advantage on that issue alone. Instead, he ran towards the Republicans. For the great majority of the campaign, he did not come out with a position on the minimum wage. Pathetic. Idiot. Nebraska, 62-38 in favor of increasing the minimum wage. Well, Alaska's not going to be that big. That's the home of Sarah Palin, right? 69-31. Let me quote here. Raising the minimum wage is extremely popular among Americans, with 70% of respondents to a recent poll saying they back the idea. That support tends to cross party lines. But moron Democrats couldn't figure that out. Oh, what should we run on? Okay, we're not with Obama. That's what you ran on? We're not with Obama? I don't know if I voted for Obama. That's what Grimes said in Kentucky. One more from Huffington Post here. Supporting minimum wage increases became so fashionable during this midterms election season that even some Republican candidates got behind the ballot initiatives. After discouraging such a raise earlier this year, Dan Sullivan, a Republican challenger to Senator Mark Begich, eventually said that he would vote in favor of the Alaska measure. Representative Tom Cotton in Arkansas, who unseated Mark Pryor on Tuesday, slowly came around to say he would do the same for the initiative in Arkansas. The Democrats were so busy trying to run towards the Republicans that they didn't notice that the Republicans snuck in behind them and pretended to be liberals in favor of the minimum wage at the end of the election to get votes. Because apparently, unlike the Democrats, they're not blind and they could read a poll. So did the Democrats have to lose this election? No way! They didn't have to lose it at all. Yes, it was a tough year. Yes, the seats were in red states. Yes, Obama was unpopular. But perhaps if you tried and you'd made your case and you actually cared about progressive issues and ran on them, you could have easily won. But you didn't, because you're not progressives. And you suck at both policy and politics. You don't know what you're doing. And that's why you got your ass handed to you.